Hold up. Before you click away, what if I told you that Caitlin Clark just hit a major milestone in her recovery that nobody's talking about? And the date everyone's been waiting for might be closer than you think. If you're a Caitlin Clark fan, you need to hear what just dropped from inside the Fever organization, because this changes everything for the playoffs. So hit that like button, and let's dive into what's really happening behind closed doors in Indianapolis. Breaking news just came in from Fever insider Chloe Peterson, and while she's being careful with her words, reading between the lines tells us something huge. Peterson, who's basically the most connected journalist to the Indiana Fever, just revealed that Caitlin Clark has been running full-speed sprints. Not jogging, not light warm-ups, full-speed sprints. And here's what makes this even more interesting. She's been doing this for days now, but the Fever have kept it completely under wraps. Let me paint you the real picture here. July 15th, Ty Garden in Boston. With 30 seconds left in a game the Fever were winning, Caitlin Clark throws a perfect bounce pass to Kelsey Mitchell for an easy layup. But as she walks back, something's wrong. She grabs her groin, and you can see the emotion on her face. She's holding back tears, putting a towel over her head, and banging her head against the stanchion in frustration. This wasn't just another minor tweak. This was her fourth muscle injury of the season, and for someone who never missed a single game in college or her rookie year, you could see it was breaking her mentally. But here's where things get really interesting, and this is what nobody's connecting yet. The injury happened to her right groin, not her left. Why does that matter? Because her previous groin injury earlier this season was on the left side. That means this isn't a re-aggravation of the same injury, it's a completely different muscle group. And according to multiple sports medicine experts, when you have bilateral injuries like this, it often means your body is compensating for the original injury. In other words, she might have been playing through more pain than anyone realized. Now fast forward to August 7th, and Chloe Peterson drops this update that has everyone reading between the lines. She says Caitlin's been running up and down at full speed, which in medical terms is huge. You know why? Because groin injuries are all about lateral movement and explosive starts. If she's running straight line sprints at full speed, that means the actual muscle tear has likely been healed for weeks. The Fever aren't keeping her out because she can't play, they're keeping her out because they're playing 4D chess with the playoffs. Think about this for a second. The Fever are 17-13 right now without their best player for the last 9 games. They just went on a 5-game winning streak. Kelsey Mitchell is averaging 28 points per game. Aaliyah Boston is dominating in the paint. The team chemistry is clicking like never before. So why rush Caitlin back when you're 3 games ahead of the 9th seed with only 15 games left? They only need to go 3-12 the rest of the way to guarantee a playoff spot. That's basically impossible not to achieve even without Caitlin. But here's the bombshell that Peterson didn't say directly but hinted at. Multiple sources around the league are all pointing to the same date, August 22nd against the Minnesota Lynx. And this isn't random. The Fever have a 5-day break between August 18th and 22nd. That's 5 full days for Caitlin to ramp up her practice intensity, get her conditioning back, and most importantly, get her timing back with her teammates. You want to know why August 22nd makes perfect sense? The Lynx are the best team in the league at 28-2. If Caitlin comes back against them and looks good, it sends a message to the entire league that the Fever are ready for the playoffs. If she struggles, they have another game against the Lynx 2 days later, on August 24th, to adjust. It's literally the perfect soft launch for her return. But wait, there's something else that makes this timeline even more interesting. Remember how Caitlin grew up in Des Moines, just 4 hours from Minneapolis? She literally said in her Fever introduction press conference that she grew up as a Minnesota Lynx fan. She watched them win 4 championships. Maya Moore was her idol. Coming back against the team she grew up loving in a game that could determine playoff seeding? You can't script it better than that. Here's what Stephanie White said that everyone missed. She didn't just say they're being cautious. She specifically said they want to make sure, quote, "we don't have setbacks and that we're patient with it." The word setback is key here. That's coach speak for she could play right now, but we're not going to risk it. They're not waiting for her to heal, they're waiting for the perfect moment. And let's talk about what Holly Rowe from ESPN reported that flew under everyone's radar. She said Caitlin has been doing full court running for the last 4 or 5 days as of August 5th. Do the math. That means she started full speed running around August 1st. Medical professionals say that once you can run full speed without pain, you're usually about 2 weeks away from game action. August 1st plus 2 weeks, that's August 15th. Add a few extra days for conditioning and practice, you're looking at August 22nd. But here's the crazy part that nobody's talking about. The Fever might actually be better off as a lower seed. I know that sounds insane, but hear me out. If they finish as the 7th seed, they likely face the Phoenix Mercury in the first round. The Mercury are 18-11, but they're without Diana Taurasi for stretches, and the Fever have already beaten them this season. If they finish as the 2nd seed, they might face the Los Angeles Sparks, who despite being the 9 seed, have the Fever's number and just beat them. The playoff matchups are everything in the W. The Fever with a healthy Caitlin Clark can beat the Mercury, the Dream, the Aces without Wilson, and they have a puncher's chance against the Liberty. The only team that really scares me for them is the Minnesota Lynx. And guess what? They can't face the Lynx until the finals if the seeding holds. Sometimes being the 7 seed is better than being the 2 seed, and Stephanie White knows this. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Some people are saying Caitlin might not come back at all this season. That's complete nonsense, and here's why. First, she's 23 years old. This isn't a career-threatening injury. Second, she's literally been doing shooting drills before games, participating in half-court contests. You don't do that if you're seriously injured. Third, and most importantly, Caitlin Clark doesn't quit. This is the same player who played through a broken finger in college, who scored 41 points in the national championship game despite being triple-teamed. ESPN reported that when she was asked about the All-Star game she couldn't play in, she said, quote, "This weekend wasn't going to be taken away from me. That's not someone who's giving up on the season. That's someone who's frustrated but determined." She's been working with the medical staff every single day, doing individual rehab work when the team practices. You don't put in that work if you're not planning to come back. But here's what's really going on behind the scenes that Peterson hinted at, but couldn't say directly. The Fever organization is treating this like load management for the playoffs. Think about it. Caitlin played 163 games between her senior year at Iowa and her rookie W season without a break. No off-season, straight from March Madness to the W draft to rookie season to overseas commitments. Her body finally said, enough is enough. This extended break might be the best thing that ever happened to her. While everyone else is grinding through the dog days of August, getting beaten up every other night, Caitlin is recovering, studying film, and will come back fresh for the playoff push. LeBron James has been doing this for years, missing time in the regular season to be fresh for the playoffs. The Fever are just being smart about it. And can we talk about the timing of that August 22nd return? The Fever have the Lynx twice, then the Storm, then the Sparks, then the Valkyries. That's 5 games to get Caitlin back in rhythm before the playoffs start September 14th. It's literally perfect. She gets 2 games against elite competition to shake off the rust, then 3 games against beatable teams to build confidence. You know what else nobody's mentioning? The psychological advantage the Fever will have when Caitlin returns. Every team has been game planning without her. They've been focusing on stopping Mitchell and Boston. Then boom, suddenly you have to account for the best passer in the league who can also pull up from 30 feet. That's a nightmare for defensive coordinators who've gotten comfortable with the Fever's current offensive sets. The numbers back this up too. The Fever are averaging 84 points per game without Caitlin. With her, they average 91. That 7-point difference is massive in the W, where games are often decided by single digits. Plus, her gravity on offense opens up everything for everyone else. Mitchell won't have to create everything herself. Boston will get easier looks in the post. Lexi Hull will get wide-open threes. It completely changes their ceiling as a team. Here's something else that's flying under the radar. Caitlin has been at every single game, sitting on the bench, talking to teammates, essentially being another coach. She's been in every huddle, every timeout, studying every opponent. When she comes back, she'll know every team's tendencies, every defensive scheme, every weakness. That's invaluable intelligence that most injured players don't get because they're rehabbing away from the team. But let's get real about what this means for the league. The W needs Caitlin Clark in the playoffs. TV ratings dropped 55% during her first injury absence. Ticket prices fell by 40% when she was ruled out of games. The All-Star game lost hundreds of thousands of viewers without her playing. The league office is probably calling the Fever every day asking when she's coming back. And before we wrap this up, let me drop one more piece of information that just came out. The Fever haven't held an official practice in 4 days as of Peterson's update. You know why? Because they're waiting. They're waiting for Caitlin to be ready to practice with the team. Once she starts practicing, it's usually a week before game action. If she starts practicing around August 15th, guess when she plays? August 22nd. Subscribe right now if you want to be the first to know when Caitlin officially returns, because when that announcement drops, tickets are going to sell out in minutes. The August 22nd game against the Lynx, those tickets are already going for $300 minimum, and that's with no official announcement. Imagine when it's confirmed she's playing. Look, the bottom line is this: Caitlin Clark is coming back, and it's going to be sooner than later. The Fever are being smart, not rushing her back for meaningless games when they've already basically locked up a playoff spot. August 22nd against Minnesota makes too much sense to ignore. 5-day break before, marquee matchup, national television, playoff implications on the line. The Fever without Caitlin are a good team. The Fever with a healthy, rested Caitlin Clark, they're a championship contender. And in 2 weeks, we're going to find out just how dangerous they can be. The league better be ready, because CC22 is about to remind everyone why she changed women's basketball forever.